Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, a little bit of laughter, because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here with one of our amazing Fresh Starts experts, Jolee. Jolee, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me on, Olivia. I love collaborating with Fresh Start. So my name is Jolee Vacchi, and I am the founding attorney of Foundations Family Mediation Center. And we practice in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And our philosophy is we strive to resolve family law conflicts as painlessly and peacefully as possible. As we know, divorce is full of ups and downs, but we really try to partner with our clients and ride the waves with them, validate and support them throughout the entire process, and make it suck just a little bit less.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're such big fans of your practice and what you do and your ethos towards what you do. So we're so happy that you're over here at Fresh Starts. And one of the things I love about you too, Jolee, is that you make it a mission to hire women and hire moms, which I always loved about you. So I'm just want to put that out there. You're such a great person. Okay, so I wanted you to specifically come on because we get a lot of people who come talk to us. They are just considering divorce maybe, and they really, as you know, Jolee, there's no education, there's no textbook for the lay human about what divorce is. And so I wanted you to come on and talk about custody for let's just dig into that. There's a lot of language, right, that goes along with different custody situations. And so if you could just kind of explain to us the ABCs a little bit about what custody looks like. I know it's not the same for everybody, but what are some of these phrases we're going to be hearing?
Sure, absolutely. And I just want to preface this conversation by saying that divorce is state specific. So I'm going to talk in general, high level terms here. But different jurisdictions, different states might call it slightly different things. So I'm going to use the language of my states, but check with an attorney in your area. So there's two major kinds of custody that we're talking about in divorce. There's legal custody, and then there's physical custody. So let's start with legal custody. This is the one that people seem to be the most interested in about. So there's two main components to legal custody. There is decision-making ability. So the ability to make really important life decisions for your children. And usually those pertain to school, doctors and medical decisions, and then religious decisions. And then there's a fourth one that has to do with kind of like dangerous activities. Like, are you going to let your kids, I don't know, water ski, get piercing, like kind of like dangerous decisions.
Yeah, risky.
Yep.
Yeah.
Risky decisions. So that is one part of legal custody. The other part of legal custody is the ability to access information about your children. So the ability to see their report cards and to see their medical records and to talk to their teachers and medical providers. So those are the two main components of legal custody. The interesting thing is that, at least in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, where I practice, you can kind of segregate these two parts of legal custody. So in a lot of relationships where people are getting divorced, the parents are going to have joint legal custody. So they're both going to be able to make decisions about their kids. They need to agree on those decisions and able to move forward. So not one parent can make a decision unilaterally. And if they do, there can be some consequences to that. But there are some situations where it is appropriate and the court will award sole legal custody. So that's where one parent would be allowed to make the decisions. When I was talking about how you can kind of parcel or separate these two parts out, we have had situations where the parents will retain joint legal custody. However, one parent will be designated to have decision-making authority. So,
Yep.
essentially, in that kind of a situation, the two parents, still need to talk about what their positions are about the issues, like, let's say, for example, about school. So, let's say they're choosing between a private or a public school. If they have a disagreement and one parent has decision-making authority, they basically get a veto or it's like a Trump vote. So what if the parties come to an impasse, that parent gets to make the final decision in case they're not able to agree. What's nice
Yep.
about that is you don't have to keep going back to court if you come to a disagreement. There is one, primary decision maker without a lot of court involvement, but the other parent still gets to weigh in and give their opinion and it has to be considered, and both parents get to have the access to the records and talk to the providers. So that is a nice situation if there is some high conflict and there's, tension and it's hard for the parents to make decisions together, but it also gives them both equal input and ability to talk to people and get records.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that is legal custody. Is there
Okay.
anything else you'd want me to go into on
No,
that, or you can?
I think that that's a great point. I have final decision making because my ex-husband moved out of state, right? So for
Mhm.
me, I'm with the
Yep.
kids every single day. So, we have like joint legal, but I have the final decision making because of emergency situations like that, right? Because of
Mhm.
I'm the one day to day. So I think it's really I always when women come to me, especially, men and women, but when they come to me to talk about divorce, I always like to say there's always options, right? There's
Mhm.
always ways to make it work for your situation and your family. So I think that I love that you laid out that like there's things you can do, right? It doesn't have to be like black or white. So I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, and a lot of I have to put a plug in here for mediation and settlement negotiations because all of these
Yeah.
kind of creative solutions really can be, talked about in those kind of settings, whereas if
Yep.
you were to go to court and have a judge make a decision, they're often imposing those kind of rigid, standards on you, and it's not as flexible. So, I'm really all about alternative dispute resolution. I love having my clients come to their own terms and keeping control of that. It's very empowering instead of having a stranger put those
Yeah.
things on you. So those
Yeah.
all those
I'm a big
options.
fan of mediation. Yeah. 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 No, that's great. Okay. So that's legal. So that if anybody's listening, rewind that and listen again for the explanation. Okay, what's the next type of custody?
So the other type of custody is called physical custody, and this is about where the children primarily reside, who they live with, and also how they spend their time. And there can be lots of different terms specifically in this arena. Some places call it visitation, other places like Massachusetts where I am, we call it parenting time. There's, parenting schedules. It all boils down to where are the kids, where are they spending their time, how are they sharing it between the parents. And so, similar to legal custody, there can also be shared or joint physical custody, or one parent can have primary physical custody with the other parent having that parenting time or visitation schedule. And so, there are so many creative options when it comes to parenting schedules.
Mhm.
One thing I do want to mention is why physical custody is important. A really big top of point of contention here has to do with schools. So, if your children go to public schools, whatever parent has primary physical custody usually is where the children are going to go to school. So, if two parents live in different towns, they would be going to school with the parent who has primary physical custody. So, that's one thing I just like to mention. But like I said, there are all different kinds of arrangements here. A lot of people tend to think about like a straight 50-50 parenting time schedule. There's lots of different ways to do that. Some parents do they'll have two designated days during the week, like mom will have Monday, Tuesday, dad will have Wednesday,
Mhm.
Thursday, and then they'll alternate the weekends, Friday through Sunday. That's kind of like a typical shared parenting schedule. But there's parents who have different kinds of work schedules, nurses, police
Yep.
officers, doctors, all kinds of things. And so you can really creatively tailor this to your specific circumstances. When children are
Wow.
older, I have a lot of clients who like to alternate full weeks with their kids. So mom will have the first week and dad will have the second week, and they'll exchange on the weekends. Um, you can
Mhm.
also have one schedule during the school year for some consistency for the kids when they're in school, and a different schedule in the summer when they have a little
Mm,
bit more
okay.
flexibility. And then, there's all different kinds of things. Some parents have supervised parenting time. Some live out of state, like you were just talking about. So those
Mhm.
kinds of schedules look really different, where it's really heavily relying on school vacation time in the summer and holidays. So there's a lot of different parenting schedules. But the most important thing that I want to mention here is that parenting schedules are not set in stone. So when you're going through your divorce, your kids are a certain age. And it's really tempting and I hear that to my clients all the time. They want to set a schedule that's going to work for the rest of their kids' lives until, they graduate from high school. But the reality is that things change over time, especially when the kids' ages get different. They're going to want to be with their friends more when they're teenagers. So,
Yep.
what you are hopefully agreeing to at the time of your divorce, know that that can and probably will change, and you're not locking yourself in forever. So don't be afraid to try something, because it's likely going to get changed later on anyways.
Those are such good points, Jolie. It's fascinating and important. I just appreciate you taking the time to share all of that. So, where do you work? And if anybody would like to get in touch with you, what kind of work do you do with your clients?
Sure. So our firm is an all-female attorney firm. I'm very proud of that. We are based in Massachusetts, and we practice from central to eastern Massachusetts and all of Rhode
Okay.
Island. Our bread and butter really are divorces, so that is what we're doing for a majority of our time. But we also work on custody cases for unmarried parents. And then another important thing pertaining to divorces is post-judgment action. So I was just talking about how, your parenting schedule is not set in stone. So when you need to file a modification, we do
Yeah.
those kinds of cases. And then also contempt action. So if your, co-parent isn't following the agreement and we need to bring that to the court's attention, we do those kinds of cases as well. And where I'm a certified mediator, so we also, instead of just providing representation for clients, I also act as a third party neutral and mediate divorces, and I love doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. We are big, big fans of mediation here at Fresh Starts. Well, thank you so much, Jolie. If anybody's going through divorce and they're listening to this or considering divorce, what would be some words of encouragement that you could leave them with?
Yes. So it can be so tempting at the beginning of the divorce process to want to have it all figured out. And I get that. These are the most important things in your life: your children, your finances, and your home. And you just want to know what's going to happen to all of those things right from the very beginning. But I just want to encourage you to just start walking and the path will appear. It's like taking a step on an
Mhm.
invisible staircase, and those stairs just show up along the way. You don't need to have it all figured out at the beginning. Surround yourself with partners who are going to support you along the way. If you can afford an attorney, that's a wonderful thing. But also, the support system that you need going through a divorce is almost as important, if not more important, than your attorney, because you're going to need that emotional resiliency and that support to get you throughout the process. And even though, like I said in the beginning, it is a roller coaster, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You have a new chapter waiting for you, and it's going to be more amazing than you can ever imagine. So I just want to offer those words of
Oh,
encouragement.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, you can get in touch with Jolie and find out more about what she does over at Fresh Starts and the Expert Guide. We're so grateful that you're part of our community, and thank you for taking the time today.
This was wonderful. Thank you so much, Olivia.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.